This is the Wednesday, February 22nd training just for ethics filers. These are elected officials, department heads, board members, and commissioners who are required to file a Form 700. In addition, many of you have to file an Ethics and Sunshine training declaration. We'll be covering both of those filings in this training. First, though, some housekeeping. As a reminder, today's training is being recorded, and the recording will be available in a couple of days, and it'll be online at the Ethics Commission's website at sfethics.org. We're going to go over general areas for conflicts of interest that we urge you to keep in mind throughout the year, but in particular as you go about completing your Form 700 for the annual submission. We're going to talk generally about the Form 700. Just as a reminder, many of you will be familiar with this information, but we're going to talk about who files and when. We're going to talk about how to file, and we'll go over briefly what's reported. Again, if you have specific questions, you can direct them to our Form 700 support portal. So the first topic we're going to get started with are conflicts of interest. I wanted to tell you that there's now easier access to guidance on the Ethics Commission's homepage. Here you'll find information about behested payments, gifts and travel, general conflicts of interest, and incompatible activities. What's going to make it easier are icons and navigation. Let's pop over there and take a look at how to do that. What you see on the screen now is our revamped website. You can still, if you have questions, navigate information on our banner under guidance and disclosures, but we now have icons on our homepage that'll make it much easier to find things. Go to Get Guidance, and among the sections and the programs that are handled by the Ethics Commission, you'll want to go to City Officers and Employees. From this site, you will find the information that we're going to be going over right away on conflicts of interest, recusals, behested payments. But if you have Form 700 questions, you can actually find them quickly here on the same page under disclosure and training requirements. So again, from the Ethics Commission homepage at sfethics.org, click on Get Guidance right in the center of the screen. Go to City Officers and Employees and find your answers. All right, let's go back to the presentation. Our first section that we wanted to remind you of is your requirement for a recusal notification. For recusal notifications, we want to remind you that any member of a city board or commission who has a conflict of interest or has to recuse yourself because of a proceeding before you in a public meeting of your board or your commission, before anything is discussed, please remember, you have to publicly identify the circumstances for your recusal and recuse yourself, and you have to leave the room. That means you can't even sit in the audience. You have to remove yourself from participation in the conversation, and that includes hearing the discussion. Within 15 days of that recusal notification, be sure to file a Form SFEC, that's San Francisco Ethics Commission, Form 3.209. It's on our website. And for information about any of these requirements, go to our website where you'll find information about the code section. A reminder about behested payments. So last January, new rules went into effect regarding behested payments. And while some forms are no longer required, the behested payment report, the notices by donors of recipients, and the notices by recipients, there is still a requirement to file. And the definitions of interested parties, for example, have been expanded, and those regulations just went into effect this month. So the new rules went into effect January last year. The new regulations interpreting and further defining those rules went into effect February 7th. If you have any questions, reach out to the Ethics Commission on the JIRA ticketing system, the SF Form 700 portal, and ask your specific questions. We'll be able to provide you with informal advice. General reminder to keep in mind throughout the year regarding gifts and travel. If you're reporting gifts received, to report on this year's annual, the gift limit for gifts received in 2022 was $520. The gift limit for 2023 increases to $590. The reason we're telling you this now is because if you happen to need to file a leaving office Form 700 and you received a gift in 2023, be aware of the higher gift limit. Remember other gift laws that apply to you as well. There's a restricted source rule where you can receive a gift of up to $25 4 times a year from a restricted source. And gifts from subordinates, just think of them as generally prohibited. We can answer any specific questions you have, but generally avoid gifts from subordinates. You may think, oh, I received a gift of travel. Do I have to report it? Those are reported by elected officers. For general questions about conflicts of interest, you can find them in several places as well. Please refer to the City Attorney's Good Government Guide. That guide is available on the City Attorney's website, and it's a great comprehensive resource. It's in narrative, and it has references to the law, so you can find answers to questions, find them all in one place, and you can look up the law if you have further questions about it. Also, remember to look at your department's statement of incompatible activities. That statement also applies to boards and commissions because your behaviors and your actions are also governed by your department's statement of incompatible activities. Both of these are available on our website, but the Good Government Guide is also available on the City Attorney's website. The Statement of Incompatible Activities is available on your department's website. Several places to find this information. Regarding incompatible activities, just a reminder, these are going to be provided by your department, your board or commission. They were given to you at the time of your appointment, but they're also available on the websites for reference. You'll get an updated one by April 1st of this year. And there are regulations on the Ethics Commission's website for explanations and examples if you ever want to see them. The regulation topics are going to include decisions involving family members, the disclosure of personal, professional, and business relationships, gifts from restricted sources, prohibitions on dual office holding, and compensated advocacy, because there are waivers for certain members of boards and commissions who by law have to be appointed to represent certain professions, trades, businesses, unions, or associations throughout the city. Please refer to your department statement of incompatible activities for specifics about these topics. Now we can bump into the actual discussion of the Statement of Economic Interest, Form 700. Just a quick overview of why we file these forms. The Political Reform Act prohibits public officials from using their official position to influence a government decision in which they have a financial interest. So state and local agencies have to adopt what's called a conflict of interest code, and that tells us who within our departments and agencies makes governmental decisions based on the positions that they hold. And these positions file Form 700s. We're here to talk about the annual Form 700 which is filed for individuals who have been in office for the majority of the past year. So in this case, the filing due this coming April 3rd will disclose reportable assets held in 2022. Form 700 provides transparency and ensures accountability in two ways. It provides information to the public about our personal financial interests, and it ensures that we're making decisions in the best interest of the public, and we're not enhancing our personal finances. It's also a reminder as we go through these rules and laws about how we conduct ourselves during the year. It reminds us to think about potential conflicts of interest so that we can abstain from making or participating in government decisions that could be or are deemed conflicts of interest. There are two groups of people who file a Form 700. There are you in the room because you are a board member, commissioner, or a department head or an elected official, but the other group that files are designated employees and consultants. These individuals are designated by their department as having positions that make government decisions that warrant filing a Form 700. Some of you may be a candidate running for elective office. Note that you are required to file a Statement of Economic Interest Form 700, but that particular form is filed with the Department of Elections as part of your candidacy papers. Just know that that exists, and we're not focusing on those filings today. A reminder about the three types of Form 700 filings. There's an assuming office filing, which is filed within 30 days of assuming office. And then for every full year that you're in office, you file an annual, sort of like taxes. It's filed every April, and it's looking back at the previous calendar year. And then a leaving office Form 700 is filed for the portion of the year that you're in office that you're leaving. Note that the date for filing an annual is usually April 1st, but this year, April 1st falls on a Saturday, and for dates that fall on a Saturday or a holiday, a weekend or a holiday, the filing date moves to the next business day. Form 700s filed by board members, commissioners, elected officials, and department heads must be filed electronically using NetFile. Paper submissions are not accepted. Quick reminder, the Form 700 is a public document. It's e-filed. The form itself is available online with limited redactions, but if someone contacts the Ethics Commission, we will provide an unredacted Form 700. That means with redactions, contact information, addresses and phone numbers, and emails are redacted, but they are available upon request. In general, please remember to use a business address on your Form 700 and preferably the address used by your commissioner department. We also want to remind you that a Form 700 can be amended at any time. The amendment is specific to the year of the filing because, for example, gift limits change. So you have to use the amendment that applied to the annual filing that you submitted. Amendments can be made at any time and without penalty, but they should be filed as soon as a discrepancy is known. Note that when you submit an amendment, only the cover page and the schedule being amended will change. The entire filing will not reappear as an amended filing. Only the amended page. What happens if you file late? Well, Please note, there's no provision in the law to extend Form 700 filings. And as a reminder, if the deadline falls on a weekend or holiday, the statement's due on the following business day. So this year, the annual filing is due on Monday, April 3rd. Late fees of $10 per day up to $100 for each required filing can be imposed. That means if you have a late annual and a late leaving, you will be charged up to $100 for the annual and $100 for the leaving. In addition, non-filers may be subject to disciplinary and/or enforcement actions with potential fines of up to $5,000 per violation. Please file on time. In addition, for board members and commissioners and elected officials, if you fail to file either your Form 700 or your Ethics and Sunshine Ordinance Training Declaration, you are disqualified. You are disqualified automatically, and you will not be able to participate in any matter agendized before your board or commission until you file. In addition, a public announcement will be made by your commission secretary or your department head that you are disqualified from participating, and that matter has to appear on the minutes so that someone not attending the meeting will know that you were disqualified from attending. Reinstatement is automatic upon filing your delinquent statements. So now we're going to switch to what actually filing the Form 700 and what's reported. Please pay attention to your disclosure category because it matters. Disclosure categories narrow what you are required to report on a Form 700. And they are department specific. They are identified by your department. Again, the decision of what you are required to disclose is based on your influence in government decisions that you can personally benefit from. For example, commissioners at the Asian Art Museum must disclose business dealings related to Asian antiquities, but not American art or owning a restaurant. They only have to report what's required from them if they are making decisions about Asian antiquities. That kind of information, those disclosure requirements are in your disclosure categories. It appears on your NetFile account, and there's a link that you can look at on your NetFile account that actually says what you're required to file. You can also contact the Ethics Commission if you have any questions. This is an example of where to find that information. This happens to be my account, but if I wanted to see what I am required to disclose, I would be clicking on this link to a PDF that says View Category Information. This information is on every filer's website. Please be sure to look up and refer to this information if you have any questions. The Form 700 components. There's a cover page, which has information about who you are, your position, and your address. And then there are a number of schedules. There are schedules for investments, depending on whether you own less than or more than 10% of the entity. There's information for reporting about interest in real property. Remember, don't report your home. There's information about the income that you receive, either from loans and business positions, income received as a gift, or income received as a gift of travel. This is a quick overview of the PDF that the paper form that some of you may be familiar with having filed in the past. This is also a PDF that will appear after you finish adding data to the NetFile filing system. Again, your address and telephone number are redacted online, but it's available upon request to the Ethics Commission. This cover sheet will automatically be filled based on the schedules that you submit. They'll appear in section 4. You don't have to fill this out. And the form will be signed electronically once you have submitted. No worries about having to send it to the Ethics Commission. We're going to talk very briefly about each type of schedule. The first type of schedule is Schedule A1. It's for investments where your ownership is less than 10% of the entity. You'll be reporting investments if you're required to report these types of investments. Investments worth $2,000 or more. Think about stocks and bonds that you choose as having to be reported, but mutual funds, which is a diversified set of accounts, you wouldn't have to report the mutual fund, just the individual stocks that you control. The next type of schedule is for investments and income where your interest is greater than 10%. This might be a business that you own. If you have income from a client, you have to report any client that was a source of more than $10,000 of income in the year. You will also want to report trusts, and that includes living trusts. They're reportable if they contain reportable assets. Don't report the entire trust if you're not required to. For example, a trust containing only your personal residence, your savings account, and maybe some municipal bonds, it's not reportable. Also keep in mind that a trust located outside the city and county of San Francisco is reportable if it holds assets that are located in the city and county of San Francisco or property that is owned. For example, within 2 miles of the airport, if you own it, it's city property, you would report. If you have any specific questions, submit them to the Form 700 support portal. Schedule B is about interest in real property. You'll want to report interest worth $2,000 or more in real property that's located within the city. Your personal home is excluded. However, you're going to report rental income from properties owned within the city and county, and that includes a piece of your personal home if a portion of it is rented out. Report only the portion, not the entire home. Your tenants' names are also reported. Please note they are not redacted on paper filings. If you have a personal mortgage, it's not reportable if that mortgage was available at rates available to the general public. Now we're moving into the 3 income schedules. Schedule C. You do want to report a source of income of $500 or more, and income from businesses, a business, or a nonprofit. And you want to report income from the sale of property to someone located in the city and county of San Francisco. That includes a home, a car, a bicycle. The source of income was $500 or more, and it's reportable under your disclosure category. Report it. We received questions about, do I have to report my governmental salary? The answer is no. That information is available on other sites. It does not have to be reported on a Form 700. Remember that if you do have income from a business, you'd be reporting it on Schedule A2. You don't have to double report it on Schedule C. These rules are available in NetFile as you are reporting. Schedule D. Remember that if you have gifts to report, you have to report a gift with a cumulative value of $50 or more. And remember those gift limits. $520 in 2022 from a single source, going up to $590 in 2023. There's some exceptions. A common one is a gift from a family member. You don't have to report it. If you attend a conference and informational material is shared with all attendees, you don't have to report it. Gifts, there's a gifts and honoraria guide on the FPPC site. It is several pages. There are many exceptions. Refer to it if you have any questions, and you can always submit questions to the San Francisco Form 700 help portal. Our last schedule is income from gifts of travel. Again, you don't have to report gifts from family members, and if you're traveling for work and you're doing your official duty, you don't have to report the gift. So these general reminders again, the Form 700 that you're reporting in April of this year is for assets, reportable assets, held in 2022, January 1st to December 31st. Pay attention to your position and your disclosure category so that you know how much you have to disclose. And keep in mind, your financial interests includes not only your interests, but those of your spouse or partner and your dependent children. There is a wealth of information for filer support and a number of resources that you can refer to. For filer assistance, you can look to your own filing liaison. It says filing officer. I apologize. Your filing liaison. That is your contact within the department who liaises with the Ethics Commission. As a team, we can answer many of your questions. You can look to our website and our support portal. You can look to the Fair Political Practices Commission's website. The links are available on the Ethics Commission's web pages. Also, a great resource is your Deputy City Attorney. Online, you'll find the information for the city and the FPPC at sfethics.org or fppc.ca.gov.